that started it all. Let's try that again. Life is unscripted. It doesn't matter how much you plan. It doesn't matter how organized you are. It doesn't even matter that you follow all the rules. It even doesn't matter if you break a few of them. Life is unscripted. And we all know this. So why do I say a curated life? And why do I say selfishly intentional? And why am I focused on wellness? Hello, beautiful people. I'm TaptheSoul, and welcome to TaptheSoul Wellness. If you saw my last video, you will understand why I'm smiling so hard to be sitting here. But I was experiencing technical challenges and just felt defeated. I felt like every time I was trying to make a step forward, I was being pulled 2 steps back. I'll leave the card somewhere up there, and I'll also put the link in the description below if you want to check out that video. It was my first official video to YouTube. Any of the videos that you're seeing prior to that have all been content that I had on twitch.tv that I've posted here, so it has a home. Feel free to check those out as well. But my first YouTube video here should not have been me having a moment of feeling defeated and deflated because I was fighting with technology to sit on this chair right here and record like this to have a conversation with all of you. But it was. And even when I was recording it, the internet died and I didn't get a full recording. And I debated not posting it. And the reason why I posted it and the reason why I'm saying life is unscripted is because life really is unscripted. I can't do perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. And I won't strive for perfect because I'm setting myself up for failure. What I will do, though, is I will continue to remain as authentic as possible, as raw as possible, as vulnerable as possible to share my conversations with you in order for you to feel and understand where I'm coming from, and hopefully it resonates with you. Maybe something that I'm saying will inspire you. Maybe it will motivate you to do something, to not do something. Maybe it's just to nurture you and make you feel comfortable that you're not alone in whatever it is that you're going through, right? So when I talk about wellness, I asked the question. I asked it in that video. I've asked it in Instagram. I'll ask it here today as well. What does wellness mean to you? Feel free to drop a comment below if you're comfortable. And let me know, what do you feel the word wellness means to you? Are you on a wellness journey? What does your wellness journey look like? For me, I didn't really know I was on a wellness journey because for as long as I can remember, the word wellness / well-being, because that's really what people said back in the day, it just meant one less doctor's appointment for me. See, when I was younger, story time with Tap, I guess that's what we're going to do. When I was younger, I had really, really bad eczema. So I was always going to a doctor or dermatologist to try out whatever new cream to help ease the irritations and the rashes. And then, you have the scars, and then there's other stuff. And then as you get into teenage phases of life, other things come up along the way. And it's the various blood work that you go through and the minor surgeries and the major surgery at 35. And if somebody asked me what wellness or what well-being meant to me, it really would have meant just one less doctor's appointment, one less round of blood work, one less round of medication that I needed to take, and to just be able to feel normal and live through my everyday life. As I got into my 30s, I started to realize that wellness and well-being meant way more than just, avoiding doctor's appointments. But I was happy to not visit a doctor for quite some time until I actually had to. About 10 years ago, I shut down. Probably more than 10 years ago now, but we'll go with 10 years about 10 years ago, I shut down. And when I say shut down, I still had to function. So I'm a mother, so I still had to be a mother to my daughter. I'm a single mother, so I had to provide for my home, right? So I still had to navigate my career and have the jobs that I have. I loved what I do. I still love what I do. I've been doing it for 26 years now, so I really do love what I do. It is fast-paced, it is intense, it is stressful, but it's where I've succeeded and thrived, and I just fell into it. It wasn't a plan. So I couldn't get rid of the job, and I couldn't put aside the role of being mom, but everything else kind of went to the wayside. And I kept the role of niece to my uncle. That's probably the only other person in my life that had intimate, close proximity to me inside the wall that I have put around me. So anybody else that was around me was gone. The relationship that I was in, done. Questionable to call it a relationship, but yeah, I loved him. So I would definitely say it was a relationship. Friendships that I had, people that I would hang out with and talk with, I just gently or abruptly exited stage left, so to speak. And I did that because one day I just woke up and I didn't like who I was anymore. I didn't know who I was anymore. You know, I had the titles, right? I had the titles from the job. I had the titles as a mom, as a this, as a that, as a whatever else along the way. But I didn't know actually who I was. I had no clue. I started to realize that some of the things that I did, some of the people that I was around, some of the people that I did, it was more from a self-medicating state than a well-being state and a self-care state of mind. And as I started to shut down from everybody and still function, it was weird to see and feel like I was having out-of-body experiences when I'd watch how I'd interact with people, the responses I would give, the conversations I would have with some people. And I was just like, yeah, that's not me. Or maybe it is me, but that version of me no longer exists. And what's the version of me now? Looking back, the version of me now looks like what? And I didn't know. I was really trying to figure that out. And I would still go to concerts. I still go to basketball games. I was okay being in large crowds. But to sit down and have dinner with 3 or 4 friends, I couldn't do it. I literally would have an anxiety attack on the idea of sitting down and having that close proximity of intimacy with friends or partners or loves or whatever you want to call them. I didn't have it in me. The only capacity I had was to be a niece to my uncle and a mother to my daughter. Anybody else was off the table. And I coped and I functioned like that for quite some time. And then lockdown happened. And lockdown for me was a beautiful experience. And I say that truthfully. I've lost people. I couldn't go to funerals because of the lockdown situation and the restrictions. And I'm crushed about that. On the flip side of that, I have to say that lockdown was the blessing that I needed to be able to A, do this right now, and B, to come alive again. So I normally will say that every situation has a lesson and a blessing. And I didn't realize that when I shut down 10 years ago that I was on a path to where I am now. I just knew that I needed to make changes, and I was suffocating in the life that I was living, to be honest with you. The lockdown situation put me in a very different type of setting. So I couldn't go to basketball games and I couldn't go to concerts. Instead, I spent all my time on twitch.tv, on Instagram, dancing in my underwear, meeting people all around the world, who some people I actually did meet in person all around the world. Through going through that experience, I really became more aware of who I was and who I wasn't, and I grew into myself, and I really, really loved the journey. Along the way, however, I was a little too confident on where I was and how I was moving and how I was growing, and I had a pain in my side, but I kept on ignoring this pain. And we all do it, right? You wake up with a headache, and a day or two will go by and you still got the headache, and you pop some Advil and you keep it moving, and then one day you wake up and the headache is gone. Poof, just like that. I figured that the pain on my side was going to do that. But it didn't do that. And it got to a point that I had to go to the doctor. So I went to the walk-in clinic down the street from my home. And sure enough, now we're playing catch up because I've been on vacation and hiatus of doctor's appointments because I was just done. And I thought I was relatively healthy. I had my skin under control. I was not, running around and doing the gym and stuff, but I didn't really feel like I was ridiculously overweight. But I had a couple of pounds to lose. I was aware of that. The round of blood work started. And I went through ultrasounds and CT scans and x-rays trying to figure out, why do I have this pain? Couldn't figure out the pain, but now I'm going through the round of blood work that I've been missing out on. As I was going through the round of blood work, one of the tests that my doctor decided to do was an A1C test. Those of you who know, that A1C test is to test your glucose to determine whether you have diabetes or not, or if you're pre-diabetic. So my test, of course, came back shining bright red that I definitely was type 2 diabetic. And of course, nobody knows how long I was type 2 diabetic because I wasn't doing my regular checkups like I normally would, because I was keeping to myself and taking care of myself the best way that I knew how. I just wanted to avoid another doctor's appointment, another round of blood work. So I decided that I was fine until that blood work came back and said, you're absolutely not. And every possible red that could come up on that chart relating to diabetes came up. It was one of those where the doctor started asking me pretty intense questions, trying to figure out if I've had symptoms all this time and I just wasn't aware of it. And I didn't know I had it. And it took the blood tests. Actually, it took the pain in my side for me to realize that I had it. So that's when my world really started to spiral. Like I was a month before that, I was just like, it's the start of a new year 2 years ago. I'm like, I'm ready to be outside. I'm ready to fall in love again. I'm ready to date. I'm ready to just go out and do dinners with friends and catch up and do drinks with friends and start being outside and doing things. And lockdown was on the other side of it. I was ready to start living my life fully and like just really embracing it. And that's why I say it took lockdown for me to come alive, because I was live streaming on twitch.tv. I was sharing, I was meeting people. We were talking about life stories, and everything in me said, like, I really want to start living. I want to be outside. And then not even 30 days later, I get hit with, now you have a chronic disease. You need to take a whole bunch of medication. And I wasn't okay with it. I wasn't okay with it because the uncle I spoke of, I watched him live with diabetes for about 20 years, and he did it flawlessly. We would be sitting at the dining table and he would have the Toronto sun in front of him and the TV's going, and we're all sitting around and having drinks and, smoking weed and cracking jokes and living our best lives and having a full bonding family moment, right? And he would just, get up and get his pouch and poke his finger and check his blood reading and then go to the kitchen and grab the insulin and do some little click to something and pull up his shirt and stab his stomach. I watched that for 20 years of my life. And at first it was traumatizing. And then I just got, it was normalized. That was my vision of type 2 diabetes. And I never thought anything of it. I didn't Google it. I didn't try to figure out anything. And he did some health changes to modify, his health. But if you looked at him, you wouldn't know that he had diabetes. He was a relatively slim gentleman. I wouldn't say that he eats poorly. He didn't eat outside. He always cooked. Even when he was really, really bedridden ill, he would always cook. So to see him with diabetes never made sense to me, but I never investigated it further until I got diagnosed with diabetes, and I had that image. So I had that image that I would now be the one sitting at the dining table, pricking my finger, terrified of needles, and I would be doing the insulin stab in my stomach and acting like everything is fine. I wasn't okay with that. I more so wasn't okay with that because I just made the decision that I was going to start living my life, because I've been in ghost mode for almost 10 years of my life, and I was ready to start living again. There was a whole bunch of emotions that was running through. My mental state of mind was not the best. I will definitely tell you that. But I had some people that were close to me at the time, and they helped me through. And for that, I will say that I am grateful. They talk about people being a season, reason, or a lifetime, and people we have to accept are maybe not around for the lifetime, but for the points of life that they are around for. I always want to make sure that I say that I'm grateful for those people, regardless of how long they lasted, because they served the purpose that they were to serve to get me through the rough patch that I was going through, understanding that I now had diabetes. During this journey, I refused the drugs, obviously. Finally decided to take metformin, and I went to the pharmacist and they walked me through using a Libra sensor, and it's a thing that you put on your arm. I would show it to you, but I'm wearing long sleeves, and you put it on your arm and you wear it and you alternate it every 2 weeks. It's tied to your phone. Perfect. I always have my phone in my hand. So it would make sense that I use this thing. I would modify my eating habits. I decided to take a natural path of trying to shed the high glucose number along with taking the metformin. So I moved around more, a lot of dancing in my living room. I really watched what I ate. I stopped eating any type of junk food whatsoever, completely cut out pop. I was a ginger ale junkie because I stopped drinking alcohol. And in place of alcohol, I would just drink a lot of ginger ale. So I cut that completely out of my diet. By the time I went back to the doctor for my 3-month test, I had drastically reduced my number. She was really, really happy. We agreed I would continue on the metformin and doing what I'm doing, and then I would be fine. So I wasn't even on insulin yet, doing really well. And then I got lazy again. I got comfortable, right? Comfortable is what people would say. I'm calling myself lazy. I'm calling it what it was. I took my foot off the pulse again, and my numbers showed it. And I had to increase my dosage, and I didn't have to go on insulin, but I was pushing it. I was really, really pushing it. And I really started to sit down and look at all of the conversations that I was having with people on twitch.tv and the conversations that I was having with myself in my journal, trusty journal. It's never too far away, right? And I started to really focus on my meditation more. I'm still not moving as much as I want to, and my eating habits have fluctuated. Sometimes I'm good, sometimes I'm bad. Sleeping, questionable. Stress was still through the roof. I did not adjust the stress factor at all. Not at all. It actually got worse. I would say it probably even got worse. But what I did eventually realize was that I had to stop. I couldn't continue on this path that I was on because I didn't want to be living off of medication. Now, I'm still taking medication. I still wear the Libra sensor, and I'm still not doing all the things that I should be doing. And that is the reason why TaptheSoul Wellness is here. See, I'm not here to tell you the 20-step program on how to be perfect and how to do it right. I am actually taking myself through this journey. I am being accountable to myself and going through this journey. And this is the way I'm choosing to do it, by sharing it with all of you. And somebody out there is going to listen to this, and they're going to be able to resonate with what I'm saying. It's going to support them. It's going to help them realize that they are not alone going through it. And everyone's story looks different, but we all have a story to share. And I will always say that the best thing that we can do is to share our stories, because we never know when we can inspire, motivate, and nurture somebody else. So this is part 1 of many chapters that I will share with you. But when you think about wellness for you and what it means to you, really, what does it mean? And if you want to share, drop it in the comment below. I would really love to hear what it means to you. And just knowing that you take the time to ask yourself that question is a win all within itself. So as I get ready to tap out here, what does wellness mean to me? Wellness now means it's a lifestyle. It's not just a journey. It's not a box I check. It's not just about writing in my journal and meditation and doing yoga when I get back to it and just involving more movement. It's not about just eating healthy and sleeping right and being more mindful. It's everything that I mentioned and then so much more. And it's the things that I do to help myself through, right? So I love music. I'm a fake DJ. Talk about that in another video. I love music. It was instilled in me from I was in the womb, and it has always it has always stayed with me. When I think about other things about wellness and how to remain mindful, intentional, and stress-free, I think about games. I play games on my phone, sometimes maybe too much, but I also like to play Animal Crossing. I like to play Cozy Grove. One day I want to learn how to play Overwatch and Fortnite. And back in the day, I used to play Tekken, and I loved it. After a long, stressful day at work, to sit down with my daughter and get my ass whooped playing Tekken, I looked forward to those moments. And it helped de-stress what you're going through throughout the day, where you could just forget about the rest of the world and enjoy that bonding time with my daughter. So when I talk about wellness, I am talking about my lifestyle, about everything that I just talked about. And the pivotal point for me was that diagnosis with diabetes. And I've fallen off of the wagon many times since that diagnosis to now. But the fact that I'm staying aware and I'm holding myself accountable means that there's always chance and opportunity for me to figure out how to reduce the need for the medication, reverse it if it's possible, and to continue to live a selfishly intentional life, and curating my life in a way that I know that will continue to bring me joy, bring me peace, even in the dark moments, and allow me to really holistically and truthfully and authentically live my life, knowing that it is the life that I want to live. Even if life is unscripted, I'm trying to live it the best way that I know how. And I look forward to bringing you another chapter, another piece, and we talk more about wellness and our journeys and our life journeys, and how can we hold each other accountable, and how can we support each other as we're going through our journeys to live a curated life, being selfishly intentional. Peace, love, and blessings.